Every day on this channel, I go through everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And here's a breakdown of how many times he posted about each topic today. I'll cover everything he said about each topic before moving on to the next one, and the timestamps are in the description. And starting with Tesla, the ex-Waymo CEO John Krafcik just said on Tesla's robotaxis, "Please let me know when Tesla launches a robotaxi. I'm still waiting." It's rather obviously not a robotaxi if there's an employee inside the car. And so then Sawyer said, in 2019, Waymo first began with what is called an early rider program in Arizona, allowing a select group of people to try the company's service. Safety drivers were present in the cars, and riders were temporarily put under a non-disclosure agreement. And quoting John Krafcik, Omar says, "Okay, we will let you know. You let me know when I can buy a Waymo. Wonder which will happen first." Elon responds saying they will switch from claiming that Tesla self-driving is fake to Tesla self-driving is unfairly good. And here's a good story of people thinking that full self-driving is fake. This is written by Mr. Texas. So, true story that happened this evening. We have married friends who absolutely loathe Musk and Trump. They hate Tesla and they know we own and love Tesla. We had not seen them in years. We visited, had a great time, and when they walked us out, they said, "Oh yeah, you drive that Tesla." So my wife says, "Yep, why don't we go for a ride and we will show you what it can do." No shit, within 5 minutes of us using FSD, they said, "We didn't know this was real, we thought it was fake." Then she had Grok with Eve voice talk to them and floored it from 0 to 60 in standard setting. They lost their minds and got super excited saying they were sold. They have to get one, and this was nothing at all like they thought. They were gobsmacked. Telling all you Tesla owners, take your naysayers friends for a ride. It changes their religion real fast. Tesla needs an official give a friend a ride day or something. Riding in a Tessie changes even the stoniest of hearts. And they tagged a photo saying, "I'm doing my part," and Elon responded with a heart. And Andre Karpathy thinks that people don't really appreciate how unique Elon's style is. He says you read about it, but you don't understand it. It's hard to describe. And if you don't know, Andre Karpathy led the computer vision team of Tesla Autopilot. And he says the first principle that he has observed is that Musk likes small, strong, highly technical teams. At companies, by default, teams grow and get large. Elon was always a force against growth. I would have to basically plead to hire people. And then the other thing is that at big companies, it's hard to get rid of low performers. But Elon is very friendly by default to getting rid of low performers. I actually had to fight to keep people on the team because he would by default want to remove people. So keep a small, strong, highly technical team. No middle management that is non-technical for sure. That's number one. Number two is that Elon wants the office to be a vibrant place where everyone is working on exciting stuff. He doesn't like stagnation. He doesn't like large meetings. He always encourages people to leave meetings if they're not being useful. You actually do see this where it's a large meeting and if you're not contributing or learning, just walk out. This is fully encouraged. I think a lot of big companies pamper employees, but there's much less of that. The culture of it is that you're there to do your best technical work and there's intensity. Elon is also unusual in terms of how closely connected he is to the team. Usually the CEO of a company is a remote person, 5 layers up, who only talks to their vice presidents. Normally people spend 99% of the time talking to the VPs. Elon spends maybe 50% of the time. And he just wants to talk to the engineers. If the team is small and strong, then engineers and the code are the source of truth, not some manager. And he wants to talk to them to understand the actual state of things and what should be done to improve it. And lastly, Karpathy believes the extent to which Musk is involved in day-to-day operations and removing company bottlenecks is not appreciated. He gives an example of engineers telling Elon they don't have enough GPUs. As Karpathy explains, if Elon hears this twice, he'll get the person in charge of the GPU cluster on the phone. If NVIDIA is the bottleneck, he'll get Jensen Huang on the phone. And Elon reposted this. And NASA just dropped the sharpest image yet of the red planet's North Pole, and yes, that is all ice. Mario Nawfal says, "Sci-fi sold us a dead desert, but the reality is it's a planet with climate zones, hidden reservoirs, and maybe, just maybe, the ingredients for life. Mars isn't just red, it's layered, alive looking, and way more complicated than Hollywood ever wrote it." Elon quoted this saying, "There is a lot of ice on Mars. Even much of the red-colored parts are actually just dusty glaciers." And readers added context saying, contrary to the Post's claim that this image was just released from NASA, the image was originally taken by the European Space Agency's Mars Express mission in 2019. And here's Elon examining the debris from Falcon 1's first flight back in 2006. Elon responds saying, "It was a tough start." Meanwhile, Starship is set for its 10th flight on August 24th. That's in 8 days. 7 days now, and Eva says, I'm so excited about this, and Elon reposted it. And SpaceX is funding a $4.4 million project to transform a South Padre Island beach in Texas into a family-friendly park, set for completion in 2026, and Elon reposted this. And Starlink is supporting emergency response and relief efforts in Cape Verde, as well as providing 1 month of free service to new and existing customers, as there is an extreme storm hitting that area, and Elon reposted this. And you can now call Grok's AI companions with just a phone number. Olivia says it feels much more like chatting with a friend than the app did. And the app is now the #2 productivity app in Australia. And it's crossed 500,000 ratings in the US App Store. It's the second AI app to cross this milestone. And Tech DevNotes is trying out the X API, and they say the free tier is a headache in testing as it shows a rate limit error after just 1 or 2 API calls. Basic is too big of a jump for very small reads automation, and they're asking for a $20 API plan for X API developers. I used X's API to count Elon's tweets for me every day, and it's true, I had to spend $200 a month for it to be able to do that. And I couldn't get them to categorize them how I like, so now I just do it manually. But anyways, he asked for a $20 API plan, and Elon said, okay. And then Emily responded saying it would be good to get some API credit from Grok Heavy. It will encourage people to get the subscription. I really do not understand why they do not work to improve the Grok Heavy subscription. So much potential and money can be made. And Elon again said, okay. And then Mark said, I think XAI is underselling Grok 4's coding abilities. They should create a tool like Claude Code to make Grok 4 shine. To get started, I suggest forking Codex CLI, which is open source. This way they could get a product out of the door quickly. What do you think, Elon? Apple Lamps responds saying, I did exactly that. Forked Codex CLI. It was fairly easy to make it work with Grok 4. Now I'm trying to make it work better. And Elon says again, okay. I remember they said they have a product coming this month called Grok Code. So I wonder if that will solve what these guys are asking for. And X Developer Docs now has Ask Grok features to help with information on the API page and more. And this XAI employee says recent discussions on large-scale training on X.com and elsewhere make me proud of XAI's infrastructure, and Elon agrees. And this email shows when Elon named OpenAI back in 2015. A lot of people don't know he was a founder of OpenAI, which eventually created ChatGPT. He wrote, don't love the sound of consider. What's the Cogito trademark issue? A naming approach we could try is for the real name to be long, but have actual use be a contraction. Example, the full name of SpaceX is Space Exploration Technologies Corporation. We could call this the OpenAI Institute, OpenAI, but call it open in everyday conversation. Looks like OpenAI.com is available for purchase. And Elon reposted this. And here's Elon and Ilya Sutskever back when OpenAI was exactly what its name meant. And Elon responded to this with a bullseye. And Spec says intelligence is too cheap to meter. ChatGPT 5 was asked, what do you mean 2021 to present? Who do you think is the US president now? ChatGPT said Joe Biden is still the US president right now, August 2025. So Elon responds to this with a post analysis by Grok. And Grok says the image shows GPT-5 incorrectly stating Biden is still the US president, likely due to a knowledge cutoff around August 2022, which predates Biden's term ending on January 20th, 2025, highlighting a limitation in real-time data integration, despite claims of internet access capabilities. And Elon responds with another Grok analysis to the Roman helmet guy. He says Achilles, when Paris shoots him in the foot, he dies. Diomedes, when Paris shoots him in the foot, says, filthy bowman, curly-haired seducer of women. If you tried to fight me one-on-one in full armor, then your bow and fast arrows would be no help, yet you now boast of grazing the flat of my foot. It feels like I was struck by a woman or dumb child, for a dart is the blunt tool of a weak, useless man. But a spear from my hands, even if struck lightly, would quickly take a man's life, fill his wife's cheeks with tears, and leave his children fatherless while he rots away, his blood staining the earth, and more birds swarming him than women. So Elon asks Grok, where is the death of Achilles described? And the Mosconomy asks Grok to summarize it in one line. Grok details the Iliad meme, contrasting Achilles' fatal heel shot with Diomedes' resilient trash talk. Explaining Achilles' death appears in post-Homeric epics like the Aethiopis, not the Iliad. And this from back in 2005, the author and owner of Blacknificent Books said, we have to exterminate white people off the face of the planet to solve this problem. Elon said, what? And Philip posted this excerpt from Dan Wang's new book. He says it's an interesting thesis. Wang's central contention is that China is run as an engineering state that excels at construction, while the US has become a lawyerly society that favors obstruction. By 2020, all 9 members of the Chinese Politburo Standing Committee had trained as engineers. By contrast, the US had turned into a government of the lawyers, by the lawyers, and for the lawyers. Philip says engineers do tend to think in terms of solving problems, and lawyers profit when there are unsolvable problems. And Elon reposted this. And Daniel said, I'm going to start tweeting like this, quoting Elon yesterday when he routinely corrected himself or specified what he meant. He said, if your girlfriend is a 10, she's an asset. Asset here means intelligence asset. I meant to say if your girlfriend is a 10, you're an asset, like as an intelligence agency asset. And Elon had a laugh at this one. And yesterday we went over this post from Dave Plummer saying how when it's time to write an operating system, you don't play around, you do it in C. But Bingo responded saying C++ if we are being intellectually honest. And Dave quoted that saying, believe it or not, even Windows 95 was largely just pure C, not C++. It had component object model objects and vtables and polymorphism, but it was all manually constructed in C. It was impressive in a masochistic kind of way. When I wrote Task Manager, I used C++ but didn't link to the C runtime library. That gave me the language features with none of the bloat, which is why it was 80K. And Elon responds with some flames and says, just C for the win. And Based Mike Lee says, raise your hand if you'd prefer that we cast paper ballots in person on election day with photo ID, all after proving citizenship when registering. And Elon raises his hand. And Mr. King says, you want to know how fast things can change, what damage mass immigration and diversity can do? Before 1992, Minnesota basically had no Somalians at all. The state was considered well-run, driven by German and Scandinavian thrift and diligence. The 2020 riots in Minneapolis would have been unthinkable in 1990. They were made possible by a divided society that was low trust, a direct consequence of mass immigration. They were an echo of the LA riots after Rodney King. LA had arrived at the diverse, low-trust society much earlier. Ilhan Omar and others openly appealing to Somalians as reps of Somalia in Minnesota? Impossible. It doesn't take very long to destroy a place. Cleaning up the mess is much harder than just not letting it happen in the first place. Some guy, literally some guy, replies, Minnesota and Maine in particular were targeted. The average IQ by state shows Minnesota and Maine with high IQ. That data from being from 2022, Elon responds, why? And X is now the #1 news app on the App Store in 158 countries. And this user says, how is entire generations psyoped into thinking kids is worse than whatever the hell this is? Someone on Reddit said, 5th abortion in an extremely dark place. I'm writing here because I don't have anyone else to go to. I just found out that I'm pregnant for the 5th time in my life and I'm 30. My current partner and I didn't really prevent this from happening as he's always told me how badly he wants children with me and I don't want to tell him I'm pregnant. I don't think I'm ready for this. I ordered pills online and they're hidden in my drawer. I'm barely 4 weeks so I'm super early and I have extreme anxiety. I'm currently shaking in the shower. I'm not ready for a child mentally, and I'm also not ready for the trauma of abortion again. I should have been more careful. I don't know what to do. I'm scared and horrified and feel like a monster. I should have been more careful. So Elon responds to the caption that how was entire generation psyoped into thinking kids is worse than whatever the hell this is, and Elon says indeed. And Simp for Satoshi says Elon is in real danger of falling off culturally. He must remember it was cultural relevance due to SpaceX and Tesla meme stocks that catapulted him. X is cool, but XAI is not. He can fix it, but he is not currently on the path to do so. This may tick him off, but it is true. Temporary Solution responds and says too many people don't realize the marketing genius of him going full retarded sloplord instead of nerding out like everyone else. This is a race to grab user base and data to scale, and the lowest common denominator likes what it likes. And Elon responds to that with a winky face. So Temporary Solutions there was obviously talking about Elon's rapid fire posting of Grok Imagine creations. They truly just do not stop coming. And Elon says the goal of Grok Imagine is to give you superhuman imagination powers. And this XAI employee quoted that saying, when you do a project with fun, you'll see how it brings joy to others. In the past, I mainly work on intelligence for solving real-world problems, but being creative, playful, and full of imagination is actually another form of intelligence, one that brings happiness to humans," and Elon responds with a heart. And Science Girl made a minute-long music video using Grok Imagine, and Elon said, "Cool, we definitely need to enable longer than 6-second segments." And Tech Dev Notes wishes we could edit uploaded images with Imagine too. Elon says working on it. Grok Imagine is getting better every single day, and it also lets you design stunning brand ads. And you can change an image just by asking. Deborah asked to change the background and asked to change the eye color, and I guess Grok Imagine was able to respond promptly. And Captain Ellie talks about how they improve the sound. And here's 2 statues kissing each other. And finally, a young steampunk woman. So that was everything that Elon said today. It was cool to hear Karpathy talk about what it was like to work with him. It was cool to see people suggest products and services that they want XAI to provide. And Elon 3 times just responded, "Okay, we will bring that." And we're 7 days away from the Starship 10 launch. And as always, if you guys want early access to these videos or you just want to support the channel, you can do so by joining the channel as a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.